say one of the most toughest challenges in American cities is how do they get redevelopment started. You know, it's the old chicken and egg thing. It's something that so many cities have tried to do, and you know, they will put a lot of effort into it, or maybe you do have a few people like John and Angela that have a great deal of passion for downtown to get started, but it's really hard to get it started and then to create greater momentum. We've been very fortunate down here that there was some good preliminary planning done, say 5, 6, 7 years ago, and some start of implementation in terms of like the streetscape, the original RCAP we call it, the building that was built for Northeast State, some things like that that showed a possibility for this. And then you got somebody like John and Angela, and typically what I found is to see a successful downtown redevelopment, you have to have some private investors that have a passion for downtown. I mean, they really have to have a passion for what they're doing, because it is really a challenge financially to do this on the front end, particularly when nobody else has done it or been successful. So we've been very fortunate to have somebody like them, and also Doug Beatty and others that have jumped in and seen this. And that's why I think we're moving at a little faster pace than some people. But it was also important that the government, of course, Jeff leads the development office, that they made sure that our employees that are in that particular office were understanding of how challenging it was to do this in terms of the regulations that they have to deal with on a regular basis. And I can tell you from being in another city or talking to other cities, that is always one of the toughest things, because when you get into buildings like this and you're having to deal with international building codes, it can be financially too much for a lot of people to deal with. And so you have to have an understanding staff, and have to find staff that are willing to find a way to do it in the end, and still make sure that you're maintaining the safety codes and all. That's very important, obviously, that we do that. So we've had great work by our development office. We've had great work by our fire marshal's office, because a lot of times the fire marshal's office is the one that runs into the biggest challenge in trying to deal with this. And there's probably a lot of stories that John can tell you in the early stages of getting used to that. But one of the things that I've seen that, and I might say that one of the most rewarding things for me in being back in Kingsport has been seeing what's going on down here. I grew up in the 50s and 60s, and I didn't know we had this much building character here. I mean, it's been something for somebody that's been involved with cities all my career. It's been really exciting to see that we did have this kind of building character, because I grew up with those metal faces. I mean, that's what people were doing in the 50s and 60s. That's all I saw. So that part's been real exciting personally to watch and all. But I think one of the things that's really helped this momentum over the last 2 or 3 years has been, even when I got here in '06, the board, the BMA, was talking about doing this higher education center and making going a bigger step above what had happened in the RCAP, where they were dealing with the Northeast State only, and trying to do something. So at least the investors saw that the city was going to continue the investment in downtown. They weren't going to stop at just the first part. They were going to go further. And then lo and behold, we finally made that decision to build a higher education center. And it was a tough decision to make. Obviously, it was a $14 million decision at that time. Not many cities had ever involved themselves in investing in a building for higher education. Not many cities had had the challenge of trying to bring in multiple colleges into one building. And it took a lot of work by our BMA members, some private citizens, to get that done. But once they did it, it was interesting to see what happened. Within 3 months, the president of Northeast State comes back to us and says, would you consider building another building? I've got 3 different places that I teach health profession careers. If you would, I could bring all those careers together in one place. So we looked at it, and we figured out a way to do it. And so lo and behold, we have a building that got built quicker than the higher education center did, because it was a different kind of building. We quite frankly went on a very cost-effective budget on that one. And within a year, we had 400+ students in the health professions, almost all of them with a job already, or one that was so while we were working on the higher education center, we were able to get this building going. Well, then about a few months later, Eastman got the money from their incentive for their big investment. And one of the things that, of course, Northeast State started talking about was how do we make sure that we can provide enough mechanics, electricians, chemical processors, and other kind of technicians like that for our industries. So with the effort of Northeast State, Domtar, and Eastman, we started talking about RCAM, Regional Center for Applied Manufacturing. This facility will be open this fall in about a month. In case you haven't heard, Northeast State has been teaching about 70 people every semester in this particular program. It's a 2-year program. And those electricians, mechanics, and others, they're basically getting an associate's degree, which shows you also how the trend in trying to provide people with careers this day where you have to have more educational attainment. So that building will be open, a 30,000 square foot building. It's on the Domtar campus, but will belong to Northeast State. It's been completely built from state funds. The curriculum for all those programs have also been developed from state funds that again came from what the state promised Eastman when they made their big investment. So besides the 900 or so students we have with RCAT, or Northeast State students, if you will, we have 400 plus students at the Regional Center for Health Professions. Now you have a higher education building where you should have 500 plus students, new students based on these schools. And then you'll have RCAM, which will be able to educate another 100 or so students in that particular building. So quickly you can add up and you're over 2,000 students in downtown Kingsport, 3 blocks from the center of action. That makes a big difference in terms of who you're an investor, in terms of what you might see as a prospect for people to eat at or live at, and those kind of things. So that really helps a lot. Also, I think, I'm sure most of you in this room have heard that we were chosen as a finalist for the Harvard Innovation Award. The reason for that was because we said, to really do something great economically and to make it sustainable, you had to have a higher educated workforce. And that was something we, unfortunately, were not where we needed to be in today's world. And so they were so intrigued by the fact that we would put this kind of effort into higher education to make sure that our citizens had the chance to succeed in the future. Not only the future, but now. But it's really unmatched that I've seen really anywhere in the South that anybody has done anything like this. And it's really quite a commitment by your leaders here to do that kind of thing to prepare for the future, because what you are building is really sustainable, and that's so important. That's one of the buzzwords in our profession, is sustainability. How do you make sure whatever you're doing is going to keep working for the future and keep you in good shape for the future and all? So it's something really, I don't know of anything that gives us a better chance to succeed than making sure our workforce is well educated. We have a lot of opportunities. One of the things that is in, of course, some of you may know this, right next to the Regional Center for Health Professions, we have maintained the daycare facility on purpose because we felt like, students, particularly non-traditional students, might need daycare. So the daycare is there. Of course, that is the only sliding scale daycare payment that's supported by United Way in that particular area. Also in this area, of course, you're right across the street from the transit line, so people can arrive by transit. And we will be suggesting something in the near future where if you're taking courses at the Higher Ed Center or Northeast State, you can have a free transit pass to get there during that semester, and so you can get there easily. So what we're trying to remove is the obstacles for people being educated.